Okay, so I'm going to, if you have additional questions, I'm just going to just raise your hand, and then we'll unmute yourself if you have a question right now. So I'll just go right. Let's give Sue a hand once again. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, can you see everyone, Sue? Perfect. All right, great. All right, other questions, comments, requests? No? Okay, I see, is it Malke? Is that how it's pronounced? M-A-L-K-E? So unmute yourself.
Mike, hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. My question, I'm fairly new in Toastmasters.
Okay.
So my question is related to how to transition. So at the moment, I'm writing my speeches a word and then practice my speech along those words. How and when do you think is the best time to transition over to speaking off the cuff or just using keywords to structure your speech?
Okay. I heard several different things. So if I'm off track, please raise your hand, and then I'll ask you for clarification. So your first phrase was like transition. So a transition is a connector between ideas and thoughts. So it could be as simple as fast forward 5 years. And that could be a very, very easy transition to get to your next thought or idea. Another thing is there's something called a walking transition. So that is, you use the stage. For example, my championship speech, I had 5 different spots on the stage. Okay, 5 different stops on the stage. Stage right is always to the actor's right. Okay, so it is to my right, the audience's left. All right, so stage right that was spot number 1. And my championship speech, I get a ticket from a police officer, and it says, "There you go, Mr. Tate. Next time, drive a little slower." Then I had a next spot. Okay, so after I make a comment about that, my next line was, "Fortunately for me, I found a parking spot right away." That's my transition statement. So the thing I'm inviting you to do with regard to transition statements is to determine what is a sentence that's going to make sense for me to connect this thought and get to the next thought. And it can be just as simple. But again, a walking transition, I literally walked from spot number 1 to spot number 2 as I was speaking. So that's something called a walking transition. Now you mentioned something, trigger words. Okay, so were you referring to how to memorize your speech or memorize the points of your speech? Am I understanding that correctly?
It's more about transitioning from writing your entire speech down and practicing it this way to then transition.
Oh, I completely misunderstood.
That was very helpful. That was very helpful as well.
Okay, you guys don't, erase all that I just told you, okay? That wasn't useful, hardly at all, right? Okay. So how to make the transition. By the way, there's different phrases. Okay, phrase number 1, sloppy first copy, okay? Sloppy first copy. Your job is to get your sloppy first copy out into print, okay, in some form, whatever you choose. I'm old school. I use a journal. That it just works for me. Some of you type, that's okay, whatever. Get out your sloppy first copy, okay? Then you're going to start editing. What you want to do is you want to, get the words right. You want to get the logic right. And then once you've got the words right and the logic right, if the story actually makes sense, now you want to possibly use dialogue, either internal dialogue or external dialogue. You want to make the characters a little bit more colorful. You maybe want to increase the conflict, etc. Finally, you've got a speech. Okay. Now it's time for you, like you said, to transition. And there's different ways of rehearsing or practicing your speech. So one technique of practicing and rehearsing your speech is, number 1, practice in front of a camera. Do not practice in front of a mirror. A camera, not a mirror. All right. So what do I mean by that? What the cool thing about Zoom is that, guess what? You can actually practice your speech and just turn on Zoom. Boom. You've got an instant recording right there. You can see how you're coming across. All right. So practice in front of a camera. You practice in front of a mirror to practice your gestures. to see what your gestures look like. But what you want to do is, and when you practice in front of a camera, start to finish, do not stop. Okay, do not stop. Usually what happens is people, they mess up. Oh, I messed up, and they start all over again. And then they go a little bit further, they mess up, they start all over again. And they keep that process going on. Between the first half of the speech and the second half of the speech, which part of the speech gets the most repetitions? The front part or the back part? It's binary, it's one or the other, okay? Okay, the front part, okay? And the reason the front part of the speech gets so much repetitions is because you start all over from the beginning. No, when you rehearse, you go all the way through, you're watching the video, and then you determine which parts of your speech need the work. Now, when I work with Tate, the 2016 World Champion of Public Speaking, again, we divided this speech into 5 separate parts, okay? I call this rehearse and reverse. Rehearse and reverse. So what we did is we divided the speech into 5 separate parts. We had 5 pieces of paper on the floor. And I would say, Darren, 3. And he would go to spot number 3, and he would give me that part of the speech. I would force him to practice the speech out of order. I would say 1, he would give me the opening. I would say 4. Now, just a little information, it was part 4 of the speech that Darren kept messing up. I'm sorry, let me give you some backstory for those of you who don't know. I helped Tate write a speech at the World Championship of Public Speaking. We're already there at the World Championship of Public Speaking 36 hours before his speech. We tore up his previous speech and we started all over. So one of the biggest speeches in his life was created 36 hours before he actually walked on stage. And I invented this technique of memorization because he kept getting part 4 wrong. We were able to identify which part of his speech that he was struggling with right away. And by the way, the first time he ever got the entire speech right was when he was on the main stage of the World Championship of Public Speaking in front of 2,500 people live and thousands more. That was the only time he ever got the speech right in the 36 hours. Good timing, right? Okay. So in terms of rehearsing your speeches, rehearse just the stories. So if you have stories, just practice the stories. Have at least one mental rehearsal. Have at least one mental rehearsal. Practice, but the majority, 99% of your rehearsals, you're practicing the words out loud. You must hear the words out loud. You must record yourself out loud. This is the best way, because sometimes what happens is, I've seen some people, they've had nothing but mental rehearsals, and the first time they practice their speech is in front of the club, and that's the first time they're literally hearing it. So the thing I'm inviting you to do is practice it out loud. So those are just some rehearsal techniques that'll help you make that transition from the written word into a verbal presentation. Was that helpful? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, all right. Who else has a question? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? I will.
Leonor, you had a question.
Okay, let's go with that.
All right.
I can't seem to find my questions here. Okay.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, it seems like Leonor is not going
Yeah,
faster.
I am here. No,
Okay.
I remember you. How you doing?
I know Sue quite well, and she is an excellent presenter, and this time is no less. However, because of the new way that we practicing nowadays, online presentations, I personally would like to hear your recommendations for Sue about online presentation. What is it that we really need to do to present best online?
That is a great question, and that's a question that, honestly, I think the speaking community, professional and Toastmasters, that we're struggling with. And for example, I'm actually partnering with World Champion of Public Speaking Darren LaCroix, the 2001 World Champion, and Mark Brown. And we just sold out yesterday our 3rd boot camp. We're doing a 2-day boot camp on how to give virtual presentations. And here's some of the challenges. Obviously, you're missing the audience. So that's number 1. So one of the things I've been doing here is, even though I had like a couple of slides, I actually have a big monitor over here, huge monitor, so I can actually see everyone here. I see all your smiling faces over here. I see all your smiling faces right here. I have an artificial audience. Woohoo! I've created my own audience. Okay. I like gallery view in Zoom because I can see your faces. I feel like I'm still making that connection. Now, when you're competing, you don't have this choice. You don't have that option. Because if you're competing, the only thing you can see is the timer. I believe it's a timer, and that's it. Or sometimes you may see the Toastmaster, but you're just presenting like in a vacuum, if you will. So some of the things that you can do, obviously you have to practice this. Practice. Have a Zoom call with some of your friends, or have a Zoom call in front of your other Toastmasters, just like you're doing in your club. So that way you can get used to it. I call it presentation prison. Presenting virtually is literally 10 times more difficult than presenting live.
Yes.
It is 10 times more difficult. And I call it presentation prison for this reason. Have you ever seen a movie or a television show where the lawyer visits an inmate and the inmate is behind glass? Have you ever seen anything like that? You know, think about it. I mean, you've probably seen a scene like that, right? Well, guess what? Our audiences are in presentation prison because they're behind glass as well. They're behind 2 panes of glass. Number 1, my screen. Number 2, your screen. And with every screen, we lessen that human connection. With every screen. So you as a speaker, you as a presenter, you just can't present like you used to. You've got to do, for example, one thing I'm doing right now is I'm standing. I've been standing the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay. I refuse to sit on a presentation. Now, a lot of corporations, what they do is they have a lot of virtual, virtual presentations, and everyone's sitting. Some of the most boring calls I've ever witnessed in my life, because there is absolutely no energy whatsoever. So if you naturally have more energy when you're standing. You naturally have more energy when you're walking. Your diaphragm is actually engaged. When you're sitting down, you're actually cutting off your air pathway. So one thing that you can do to breathe life is to move. For those of you who have to do longer presentations, there's a guy by the name of Bob Pike, and he says you have to introduce something called pace elements. A pace element is something, it's a change. So for example, we've had several pace elements tonight. For example, when I had you guys, stand up, and turn this way and turn that way, it was by design. It was by design because it was a pace element, because I wanted to give this virtual presentation some life, if you will. All right. So excuse me for a moment. One of my lights just went out. I just need to plug it. I need to plug it in. I have battery operated lights. And that one lasts exactly 2 hours. Okay, so just excuse me for a second.
Sherry, do you want to ask your question?
Okay.
Okay, so I put you next, Sherry. And Ty, do you want to ask your questions?
Sherry or Sheridan?
And we're back. All right, so there's pace elements. What that means is you got to change what you're doing and how you're presenting every 4 minutes or every 2 to 3 minutes. So for example, if you're a talking head, when we actually went back and forth, that's a change. When I had you do an exercise or an activity, that's a change. For example, when Sue showed the photo of what those animals were, that represented a change. Those are pace elements. So the thing I'm going to invite you to do is what are some things that I can do differently? They don't have to be dramatic, but just small, micro changes. Human beings, we are programmed, it's part of our DNA to pay attention to changes. And every time you have a slight change, it re-engages our attention span. Write this down. This is a quote from a lady by the name of Patricia Fripp. Sameness is the enemy of a speaker. Sameness is the enemy of a speaker. When you look and sound the same, if your presentation from start to finish is just a talking head, you're guaranteed to put people out, put them to sleep, okay? Sameness is the enemy of a presenter. So you want to avoid sameness. For example, when I was competing, here's something that some of you will find to be heresy. And by the way, when I competed, we used to have 3 speeches. You guys only need 2, So we old crotchety, world champions, we're thinking like, you guys, man, seriously, only 2 speeches? We used to have 3. But you've never heard the following words from Ed Tate. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and guests, when I was competing, if you watch all three of my championship speeches, I've never said those once. Number one, it's not part of the rules. A lot of people think it's part of the rules. It's actually become urban legend. It's become folklore. The reason that's designed for the new speakers. It's designed for the new speakers to give them a way to open up a presentation. It's designed to give them legs, if you will. But what a lot of people have done over the time is like, oh, well, that's the rules. I literally called up Toastmasters and said, hey, do I actually have to say that? They said, no, you can say whatever you want. I says, great. I didn't want to sound like the other competitors. I wanted to separate myself. So if you watch any of my speeches, I never said those words. And I never said another Toastmaster cliche. And anyone who's ever done blank, have you ever seen someone do that type of speech? You know, they've added that line, that's a Toastmaster cliche. I avoided all the Toastmaster cliches because I did not want to sound like the other speakers, okay? I have a very, very specific thing around cliches, okay? So those are some of the things that you can do to breathe life into your virtual presentations. Again, we do a 2-day boot camp. It's already sold out. For those of you who signed up for the free 1-hour workshop, you'll get a notification as to when we do it again, okay? All right.
All right, Ted, we've got a couple of questions here. One from Shireen MacArthur. Please, can you ask your question? And the next one is time, please.
Okay, great.
Hi, Ed. Oops, I unmuted myself. Hi, Ed. One of the clubs I belong to here is a keynote. We do keynote presentations.
Okay.
And I'm about to do a keynote, and I have done an advertisement for the keynote. How much information should we put on that advertisement for the keynote?
Okay, so the number one thing with regard to any type of advertisement whatsoever is what's in it for the other person. Mm-hmm. What's in it for that other person? Hold on for a second here. I'm just got all types of like little computer glitches here, so I apologize for that. So number one, what's in it for the other person? What's the pain that they're going through? What problem are you solving? If you're just advertising, hey, look at me, we're doing this keynote thing, etc., then no one cares about that. You know, it's so what, who cares what's in it for me? So number one is what's in it for them? What's the pain or the problem that you're going to solve? So for example, when I teach a program called Making Managers into Leaders, you know, just because you got promoted to a leadership role doesn't necessarily mean that you're a leader. You know, mm-hmm. Guess what? That single line right there, that single line led to us, you know, we was it like 69 countries, 2,000 companies, and over 50,000 executives. Just from that one line alone, because just because you got promoted to a leadership role doesn't make you a leader. That spoke to the pain. So what's going to be in it for them? So the thing I would have you do is, if there's other people who are going to be at this event, come up with a whole list of all the things that people, how will they benefit? What's in it for them? It's not about you at all. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive. It is about you because you're going to be presenting, but you got to get butts in seats. Okay, let's talk about the virtual presentation workshops that me and Darren and Mark are doing. We've sold out 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row. Right now, well, actually, we're getting people from all over the globe. We just signed someone from Taiwan. And I'm thinking, like, how's this guy going to do it? Because it's going to be in the middle of the night for him. But you know what? We're speaking to the newfound pain. You know, the newfound pain is, how do you present virtually? How do you present virtually? Well, people want to know. They want to know. And by the way, it's not the platform. What makes our presentation, what makes our bootcamp different is almost 99% of anything you see right now is everyone's going to be a Zoom master or whatever. They're putting the platform. It's not the platform. It's the presenter. It's the audience. That's the most important part. We're going to figure out this technology thing. You know, like, you know, I've had like a couple minor glitches here and there. Did you care? No. We're going to figure it out. You know, a year from now, if we're still in this environment, guess what? This sucker's going to be, it's going to be humming. So it's not the platform. It's the presenter. It's the speaker. Okay. So those are the things I would invite you to do. Is that helpful?
A little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Christina, who's next?
Hi.
Oh, hi, Ed. I don't know you remember me, but a couple of years ago you were in Western Australia.
I recognize your face.
Thank you. We had a chat. You told me that you had a stutter. You stutter a bit.
Yes.
And you still stutter, but it's not noticeable.
Yes.
Well, my question to you is, I'm not a naturally born English speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get nervous, when I give a speech, my breathing goes shallow, and I tend to be like yourself before, where I stutter a bit and mumble and stumble. How do you breathe and talk? How do you? I see you're frowning now, so that's not.
No, I'm smiling.
What's your recommendation?
Well, let's say for those of you who don't know, my backstory is I am a stutterer. There is no cure for stuttering. My motivation to get better was, raise your hands if you know that children can be the most cruelest people on earth. Anybody here know that? Have that experience? So my dad was in the military. We would move to a new neighborhood. Within days, that group of kids in the new neighborhood would be making fun of me. So one day we're going to move to the big city. We're going to move to Chicago. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So before we moved, I literally every single day would read magazines and newspapers out loud. I practiced my articulation. I did something unusual. In Chicago, basketball is very, very popular, especially outdoor basketball, not indoor basketball, outdoor basketball. So what I would go to the playground, and I actually would do the play-by-play. So the kids would give me who their favorite players were, etc. And I would literally on the playground do play-by-play. It forced me to practice articulation, projection, you name it. So when we moved to the new neighborhood, no one ever knew that I stuttered. Now, my stuttering is I stammer. So I'll double clutch. I'll repeat the same word over and over again, etc. But here's the good news. Despite that, I became the world champion of public speaking. What's your excuse? All right, I got no sympathy for nobody here. Okay. And I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm only kidding. So what should you do? Number one is what I discovered was I would try to talk faster. Do the exact opposite. When I feel myself stammering or double clutch, or usually it comes from nervousness, and you need breath. You actually need oxygen because that's the cure. So wherever you are, just stop. Take a deep breath. No one's going to notice. You know what they're going to think because you speak a different language. In America, it's like, how do you know if you have an American, they only speak one language? And in America, if a person speaks another language, we automatically think their IQ is like 25% higher. The fact that you speak a second language, there is an assumption, and basically this is actually based in science. You can actually Google this. It is perceived that you're smarter. So what you should do is you should actually pause and think, okay, where am I going with this conversation? They're going to think like, God, this guy is brilliant. You know, he's coming up with this answer. And the only thing you're doing is you're just composing yourself. So compose yourself. Think, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to do? And then once you got that, then deliver that message slower, not faster. Do it slower. Make sense? So that's something that's helped me. The other thing I would invite you to do is you're not the only person who's ever suffered from this. I would actually find others. I'm willing to bet there's Facebook groups, there's online groups, etc. I'm willing to bet there's articles. Find out what they do. I constantly read. I constantly looked for solutions or answers. And by the way, I grew up in the era where there was no online. There was this thing called the library. Now, for the young people, a library. Well, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. It was like this big building. It had a bunch of books. Okay, books. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. There's not enough time. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Ed. And we have the last question. Marcus Young, please.
Okay, perfect. And then I also have like a little offer too, if you guys are interested. So,
Yep.
Okay, who's next? I'm in gallery
question,
view.
Marcus. Yep.
Hi, my question is, how do you prepare to speak impromptu?
Could you repeat that again?
How do you prepare for table topics?
Oh, you have asked the wrong person. The question was, how do I prepare for table topics? Let me put something out. I am the world champion of prepared speeches. Prepared speeches. Prepared speeches. I suck at table topics. I always walk away. It's just like, I should have said this. Oh man, that would have been good if I would have said that. Is it just me? Am I the only person who feels this way? And that being said, table topics makes us better. There's been something good about COVID-19. And the good thing about COVID-19 is I'm able to attend my original Toastmasters Club. My original Toastmasters Club, they're 2,000 miles away. So every Thursday morning at 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm actually able to reconnect with the club that helped me win the world championship. And that has been an absolute blessing, an absolute blessing. And they get a chance to make fun of me because they know how bad I am in table topics. And so I'm getting better. But you know, table topics, it improves, it gets rid of those ums, those ahs, those, for example, I have a very bad habit of using the word like. And I can't hear it. But when I go to my club, they point it out to me and it makes you better. So even though as frustrating as table topics is for me, and I got nothing. I got no advice for you whatsoever other than hang in there and keep trying. At my club, I actually got the most improved table topics in my club. And that is, I've got my trophy from winning the World Championship of Public Speaking. I'm something known as a CSP. This is something called the Certified Speaking Professional Status. It's the highest earned designation in the world for speakers. I've earned this 4 times, and as a matter of fact, I've become a lifetime CSP. But the award I'm most proud of is the most improved table topics individual in my club, because I made a choice. I made a decision. I'm going to get better at this. I am going to get better at this. And I participated in for a year straight. As a matter of fact, I had 0 table topics ribbons. 0. After 3 years, 0. And then finally that year, I made up my mind. And here's the good news for you. Once you made up your mind to master this skill, the world opens up to you. So make up your mind to master the craft. And that doesn't just apply towards table topics. It's any skill, any idea in your life. So is it, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, is it Sheridan McCarthy? So with regard, make up your mind, you're going to master promoting and filling up your particular keynote speech. Make up your mind. You're gonna crack that code, whatever it is. Make up your mind you're gonna do that. So have I earned the right to talk to you for 2 minutes about an offer I've created just for you guys? Have I earned the right to do that? 2 minutes, that's it. If you like it, fine. If you don't, no worries whatsoever. I've had a great time otherwise. So I have created a, and I think I put this in. This is called, I call this masterclass. I coach executives and I coach CEOs on a regular basis, and my screen just went completely dark. Don't know what happened here. Sorry about that, folks. This is, someone asked earlier about the challenges of doing a program virtually, and here's one of them. I'm going to just stop sharing so I can find things again. Wow. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about that, guys. All right, there it is. And hopefully you can see this. I call this is called Masterclass. And Masterclass, what it is it's coaching with myself. So you will get 40 minutes of coaching with myself, plus 20 hours of some of my online programs. So this is it right here. So if you can see this, if you want to take advantage of this offer, just take a picture on your camera. It's already your Sunday. If you'd like to take advantage of this offer, it'll be available until Tuesday. It'll be available till Tuesday. Again, just take out your camera, scan the QR code, or take a picture, and there is actually a link just above the QR code right there.
It looks like Ed has frozen, ran out of ideas. Happens to the best of us. I'd like to express a thank you for everyone who attended from America, Australia, Japan, Africa, and even South America. We even had members attend from other states in WA, from South Australia and from Victoria. So thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed everything. I would like to thank two people who worked tirelessly to organize this. Our Vice President of Public Relations at Sunday Sundowners Toastmasters Club, Christina Milingale. Christina, say thank you. Say hello.
Hello, and thanks everyone for coming, join us today. Thank you.
And also the President of Sunday Sundowners Toastmasters Club, Carol Bruce. Carol, say hello.
Hello everyone, and I'm sure that you have picked up all those wonderful gems from Ed today as well. Yes, it's been great. Thanks, Tom.
Right, so it looks like Ed isn't coming back to us. So we have with us District 17 Club Growth Director and, well, yeah, he's still the, sorry, I beg your pardon, Program Quality Director, Henry Yao. Henry, would you like to say a couple of words?
What the FUD? Where's he gone? Oh, fantastic presentation indeed from Ed. Fortunately, he's off the line. I just want to reiterate the power of technology in Zoom, how we all connected no matter where we are around the world in Australia. I took a lot of material that Ed said. I've met Ed twice, a couple of times now, one in Perth and also in Chicago and Denver. And his presentation, he's full of energy. That's one thing I noticed as a presenter, he's got a lot of energy and how it connects with the audience. That's the most powerful tool you can have. You can have a good speech, but if you don't have energy and the way you relay your message, the message could be lost. That's one of the main attractions that I thought that Ed has, and it's one of the positive that I enjoy watching Ed. So I thought I enjoyed today's presentation. I thank you for Sunday Sundowners for organising this, and I'm sure everyone today who participated will agree that was a fantastic session. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Henry. And, oh, Ed's back. Let's hear the rest of his offer then. Welcome back.
Sorry
Ed.
about that.
It's gone down. It's gone down.
Oh man, it went down. Oh wow, everyone's here. Jeez, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate that. Wow, that is so embarrassing, man. I mean, we just lost our internet. So I actually, again, preparation. Everyone's down. I mean, everyone is using the internet, and we've had intermittent service. So I'm actually operating off of my cell phone right now. So I sincerely apologize for that. And anyway, so where was I? Anyway, so if you're interested in the offer, I'll put it back up again. It is basically 40 minutes of time with me if you want to work with me, and we can work on any topic or any subject. There's a lot of people who are obviously presentation skills and things of that nature. I've had two people who I've worked with who are actually made it to they've made it beyond the district. They actually won their district and they've made it to the next round of the Toastmasters competition. A lot of people ask me for business advice. The vast majority of my coaching clients come to me for business. And again, I don't help them with, the thing I think I help them the most with are two things. Number one, confidence. Okay. And number two is a mindset. So one of the people who I've helped is, I don't know if you guys heard this guy's name is Aaron Beverly. Anybody here heard of Aaron Beverly? Okay. Current world champion of public speaking. Aaron's been one of my coaching clients since 2013. Since 2013, he's been one of my coaching clients. I had absolutely nothing to do with him winning the world championship of public speaking. Zero. Now, why would I mention that? Aaron is a coaching client of mine when I did not help him win the world championship. Well, when I first got together with Aaron, I said, Aaron, I want you to focus on the mirror instead of the window. What do I mean by that? So when Aaron first came into Toastmasters and he was competing, he was looking out the window. And what do I mean by that? He was looking to see what everyone else was doing. Right now, because of the worldwide pandemic, a lot of people are looking out the window. Go into LinkedIn or Facebook, and how many people right now are Zoom experts or virtual presentation experts, you know, slash yoga instructors, real estate agents. That's a rant. But anyway, I said, Aaron, one day I want you to look in the mirror. Rather than looking and see what everyone else is doing, I want you to focus on what you're doing. So last year when I said, hey, Aaron, do you need some help? Again, he's been a client of mine since 2013. He said, Ed, I'm looking in the mirror. I got that. I got this. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I was so proud of him for saying that to me. And I really felt, I was like, man, he could actually win this thing, even though I had no idea what he was going to speak about. So why did I bring up that story? Is I help you with your mindset. I help you. I help people with confidence, and I help people with their mindset. So if you are interested in this offer, I'm just going to bring this up again. Again, all calls are recorded. They're transcribed. I can help you with both professional and personal issues. Get clarity on your goals and roadblocks, honest feedback. You have 18 months to use this particular session. By the way, this session was brought to you by someone who actually purchased this offer. Your club is actually a recipient of someone taking the initiative and using this particular offer for the club. Again, you get 20 hours of video training. Some of that video training includes positioning yourself for profit, how to survive something called Speaker Shark Tank. That's cool. That's all I'm going to say about that. How to be funny in 5 minutes by a professional stand-up comedian here in Las Vegas. I'm talking to you from Las Vegas. So if you're interested, take a picture or scan your phone, or take a picture and just go on this URL. It says https://qrco.de/TMAUD. We could not have come up with a more obscure link if I tried. I'm thinking, what does that mean? All right, so that's it. That's all I've got. Hopefully did I provide you with value? Yes, thumbs up, thumbs down. I hope you enjoyed it. You can reach out to me at info@edtate.com. info@edtate.com. I'm giving you that email address because I have a staff of people who work for me, and they make sure that your emails get to me front and center. I get anywhere from 500 to 1,000 emails a day. So through my regular email, it'll probably be like, I don't know, July before I actually see your email. But if you use that email address, one of my two assistants will see it and they'll bring it for me, bring it up to my attention. Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, for the moment. Now we have Carol Bruce, the president of our club, who is going to close the meeting, please.
All right.
Can I just interrupt firstly? And since Ed's been able to do a plug, I'd like to do a plug as well for Sunday Sundowners Toastmasters Club, who are the club that forked out the money to pay Ted to host this event today. So I just want to say to all the people who are here, some of you are current members, some of you are past members, and some of you are hopefully future members. So I'm going to invite you to our Toastmasters meeting, our Sunday Sundowners Toastmasters meeting, which will be happening in 5.5 hours, 4 p.m. Western Standard Time, Australian time. So you'll have to work out what time it is where you are in this world. And I'm just going to paste the link to a Zoom meeting in the chat window. If you're interested in attending, copy it and join us 4 o'clock our time, which is 5.5 hours. So to finish this and to thank Ted, Carol, our club president, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, Ed, for a wonderful session today.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, whilst you were not with us there for a couple of minutes, we had a bit of a chat amongst ourselves, and many were taking notes and just going through how wonderful it's been this morning to have you share your evening with us. Thank you so much. what couple of things that Tom took some of the words out of my mouth, and so also did Henry. So for your benefit, I now have the opportunity to say what I was going to say. On this call, in case you're not aware, we have members and guests attending from Zimbabwe, Brazil, 3 people from three guests, I think maybe even one, maybe a member from Japan, Atlanta, Georgia, John is with us, and from Melbourne, in Australia, we have Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, Sue's down there in Bunbury, and I'm right up the top of the country in the west in Onslow. So we're spread, and you, of course, are you in Vegas? I'm not quite sure where you are.
I'm in a suburb of Las Vegas. It's called Henderson, I'm actually closer to the Hoover Dam and the Arizona, which is the next state over, border than I am to the Strip. But it's just, I just tell people Las Vegas because it's simpler.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And the other, I just wanted to thank Henry Yao, who is our Program Quality Director. Thank you, Henry, for jumping onto our call, District 17. Also, Cherie Wallace is our parliamentarian. Cherie is here somewhere. And Leonore Reagan, was our former district director, is also here with us today, all from District 17. And to all of our guests, thank you very much. Our members as well, don't forget to come back this afternoon. And there was one final thing. We had 30 people on the list, Ed. And if you have 30 people on a list, you would know you would never get 30 people turn up, right?
Well, at one point it was up to 38.
Yes,
in terms of,
exactly.
yeah.
That's my point. So it went down to 37 when Ed Tate disappeared for a couple of minutes. But it came right back up to 38. So then nobody had left. How wonderful is that? That's
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So it just really is for me now to conclude our meeting, to thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, guests and members, for attending. And let's all meet again sometime. Sunday Sundowners. Tom's just given you the link. We're meeting every Sunday at the moment, compared to usually only fortnightly, but every week at the moment. So we're having a less formal meeting in our formal meeting. Thank you so much. It was lovely to see you in person last year, and it's lovely to connect with you again today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And in the chat is that free offer I gave you guys earlier. So just go into chat and you can just download that as well. So there was a couple people who asked about that. All right. So it's in the chat. Download it now before the call ends.
Thank you, Ed.
See you guys.
Good to see you again.
All right. Off to dinner.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Thank you. See you guys.
Well done, Sunday Sundowners.
Thank you, Sunday Sundowners. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Christina, thank you for all your help. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You really helped us pull this meeting off. Thank you.